We are live. This is a consciousness ascending presentation. This is episode 76 of Accelerating Your Journey, and we are excited to be here. My name is Benny Ferguson. I channel the non-physical collective known as Abraham. I've been channeling for over a decade now, and we're excited to be here. We're excited to be of support. Not just to be of support, that's not the goal. The goal is to accelerate the process of each of you coming to know the truth of you in source, that which you truly are, beyond the conditioning, beyond the programming, that you might be able to live the plan that you set for yourself before you entered into your physical body, meaning moving in accordance with your inspirations without hesitation. That's the goal. Hello, Catherine. That's the goal. And the trick to that is, and the goal for our part, is how fast can you get there? How fast can you unravel the conditioning, unravel the programming, and begin to see the light of you that has always been present, the light of you that is free of the trauma, free of the drama that was established, that established ideas within you as a child that have continued to resonate and create low vibrational circumstance. How fast can you get to the place to be able to see more and more clearly your inspirations, that which you are excited about being, doing, and having, and being able to act on those inspirations without hesitation? How fast can you get there? Well, it requires correct understanding. It requires the development of a firm foundation in the truth of you, meaning that which you are and that which you are capable of. It means being consistent, disciplined, focused. It means turning your attention inward, internally, to the internal processes that are going on versus the mass of external data that is constantly flooding your physical senses, screaming, I'm most important, I'm most important, I'm the priority. And that's not true, because everything that happens outside of you is an effect and not a cause. So there are a number of things that have to be in place in order to not move along the path, because each of you are moving along the path as you go about your daily life, but to accelerate the process, there are things that need to be in place. There are things that you need to, there are muscles that you need to develop in order to accelerate the process. What most don't understand is that playing to express and exist in a higher frequency than has been your norm. Playing to change the thought patterns, the ideas that exist as dominant within you at the moment. What most don't understand is because they haven't walked the path before, or they have walked the path but they don't remember, is that when you affect these things, you begin to see differently. And we're talking about inside of your mind and body, all of the interpretations, all the perceptions, all of the things that you think are external are really happening internally. And when you begin to move in accordance with a different frequency, a higher frequency, when you begin to release the conditioning, the dominant ideas that are rooted in low vibration, you begin to see differently, inward. The perspective that you hold of events inwardly changes. The interpretation of events inwardly changes, because this is where the magic is. This is where the power is, or this is where the absence of power is. These things change as a result of your changing, not dramatic change, but just playing in a higher frequency. If you have trauma in your life from childhood or from yesterday that you haven't looked at yet, that you haven't uncovered yet, that you haven't gleaned the information from it that is empowering, because you haven't even asked that question, right? You've been shielding yourself. You've been trying to protect yourself. You've been pushing against it. You've been pushing against those individuals that participated in the creation of the experience. But you have never asked the question, I understand I'm creating it. If I created this, then there must be something there for me. What is the empowerment in this experience for me? If you haven't done that, if you haven't asked that question, if you're still moving away from the experience instead of standing with it, what we want you to understand is that when you look at the experience from a higher frequency perspective, not you're in the frustration and you look at it and you're frustrated with it and now you're facing it and then all of a sudden you get engulfed in it because you're in alignment with it. When you look at it from a higher frequency, there is space between you and the experience vibrationally, and you are able to see it differently. You're able to see it more clearly. If you've never been taken through that type of process, that's one of the things that we do that addresses the circumstance, addresses the idea, number one, but also it shows you a number of things. It shows you that you can view experiences, happenings, whether it was yesterday or 40 years ago, and see it differently inwardly because you're in a different frequency than the experience. And you may have never done that. You may have never looked at an experience from a different frequency and known that you would see it differently because of the space between you and the experience. Yes, there is space. Even though you're interacting with it, there is distance between you and the experience, and that's what you want. You don't want to engage your traumas, your dramas, your pains, your past sufferings that you are connected to them through the ideas that you're holding within your mind and body. You don't want to, it's not what you want to do, to engage those happenings or those ideas in the same vibration that they exist. You engage them from a higher frequency so that you can see through different eyes. So that you can see through eyes that are closer to the truth of you in source. Now, maybe there's just not much distance, and there's still huge distance between you and the truth of you in source, but a higher frequency is closer. And it does change your perspective. And then when you're also armed with the questions, you're moving from a more empowered position. And that's what allows you to address your traumas. That's what allows you to glean the wisdom that is there for you from your traumas. That's what allows you to ultimately release those traumas, or at the least weaken the emotion around it, because you have different perspective around it, even though it was mother or father, brother or sister, or someone of that nature that you felt was the perpetrator. But they weren't. They were just collaborative components supporting you in the creation of experience through something that you were expressing. But you see it through different eyes because you're in a different feeling space, and you're able to glean the wisdom, the knowledge from that happening for you. And when you glean that knowledge from it because you're asking the right questions, now you have expanded your awareness, and it no longer affects you the way it used to, because now you have gained further greater clarity and understanding over the idea, expanded your awareness in relationship to that idea, and now that idea is a little bit weaker. It's a little bit smaller. And the emotion tied to that idea has been reduced because of the expanded awareness. And if you continue along the process, or the process that we have shown or given to you, then you can dramatically weaken that idea, if not release it completely, to the point where there's no longer even any remnants of the experience occurring in any now or future present moment. It's about awareness. It's about understanding. It's about establishing a firm foundation of and in the truth that you are creating and that you are source at its core. Right now, all of this only masked over by your conditioning. If your conditioning, your programming wasn't there, you would know who you are. A child is close to that truth. Now, they might not know specifically that they are source, that they are the creator, but their beingness is not clouded by the conditioning yet. And if they're in a home or in an environment that is teaching them who and what they are, and they are getting that knowledge without the clouds of conditioning, then now they come to know themselves and are powerful in their expressing, powerful in their ability to follow their inspirations and create in the world from a place of understanding that they are not the world or any of its happenings. They are that which is beyond and actually creates the world. And this is where you are going. This is where you are returning to. Maybe that's more accurate. But we are excited to be here. We're excited for each of you who are supporting the creation of this interaction. We're excited for those of you who have found this recorded and allowed us to be of support in that manner. Be sure to subscribe if you find value in this interaction, so that you're alerted when new content is uploaded, when we're going live again. Check the description for ways that you can connect with us in a deeper fashion. We do offer private sessions if you know you are stuck in an experience, if you know that you have traumas that are dramatically affecting your life, if you know you have traumas that are repeating in their experience and you would like to reduce that, if not completely release that from your experience and your being. That's what the private sessions are for, to address immediate circumstances that you would like to be free of or reduce the intensity of or address in some magnificent fashion. We also offer a private community. For those of you who have made this play and practice a priority, it is not a training program. It is not a product. It is a community of which you are permanently a member, engaged in the process with other individuals who have made the commitment to be consistent, to be disciplined, to be able to access our understanding on a consistent basis. That's what accelerates the process. That's what accelerates the process. And once you have the foundation that we support you in establishing in the initial, then once that foundation is completed, then you can begin to quickly build the house of the truth of you in source, sweeping out the resistance as quickly as you can bring it to the forefront into your conscious awareness. We're excited for you. We're excited for you. So, let's see. Catherine says, so are you saying that time and distance can change the perspective because your vibration has changed over time? We're saying that your vibration changes the perspective. Because take a trauma you're aware of, or a undesired experience that you know continues to repeat. When you entertain that idea, it feels a certain way. Anytime you entertain that idea and you start thinking about the people that are involved or were involved the last time, and you start thinking about the experience, it triggers and makes you feel a certain way. Right? Let's say it's frustration. Say it's anger. When you get yourself into a high frequency state, or you're in a higher, or you're in excitement, you just came from a magnificent movie, or you're in a high level of joy, you've just been around friends, family, loved ones, and had a magnificent time. Take that feeling versus that feeling of frustration or anger. There's distance between the two, right? If you could quantify it or make it a chart, there is distance between that excitement and that joy and that happiness to get down to the frustration or the anger that you're feeling based on that experience. That's the distance that we're talking about. We're not talking about physical plane of existence, time and space. We're talking about the distance in frequency. Right? 88.9 on your radio dial and 101.9. There's distance between those frequencies. We're talking about the distance in vibration, in frequency, between excitement and joy and frustration and anger. That distance is what allows you to see differently. You are viewing through different eyes based on the frequency that you're in. Your perception is different. Not only your perception, but your interpretation of the events is different. You move from the frequency that you're in. Say it's mother or father that were the individuals present that supported you in the creating of a traumatic event as a child. In the frequency in which they were in which that idea, that experience was born, you're angry at them, potentially, or frustrated with them, disappointed with them. There's high expectation, or there was high expectation that they're supposed to love me and not be this way toward me. Well, in a higher frequency, you begin to have compassion for them because you begin to see that they are only acting out of the vibration that they are in. And if they are in that level of vibration, guess what? They are experiencing and having in their personal individual experience happenings based on that vibration as well, which means that they are walking around with a level of pain, with a level of hurt, and they are suffering as a result of expressing that they are offering and experiences that they're being created in their personal life. So when you are in a higher frequency and you begin to see that and you're able to perceive that, compassion comes in versus frustration and anger changes. And that empowers you even more as you view that circumstance. And you begin to see the strength potential in you. You begin to see, okay, this happened. And then you start asking yourself the questions, how am I stronger, or how can I view myself as stronger now as a result of that experience? Because many humanity supporting organizations have been started and supported thousands, millions on your planet through a founder who experienced trauma. The catalyst was trauma that was curbed into a beautiful expression. Now, we're not saying that any one person should go on and create an organization and all of those things. We're saying that from a higher perspective, your idea about the circumstance changes, and you can ask, you're in a space where you can ask the question, how can I be empowered as a result of this experience? What information, what knowledge, what wisdom is in this experience for me that I can take forward and grow from, that I can be empowered from moving forward? Because that's what it is. It's an experience, no matter how great or how not so great one interprets it to be in the moment. Each and every experience is a point that holds understanding, knowledge, information that supports your growth and expansion, the expanding of your awareness. And when you understand that, guess what? In conversation, in interaction, you are able to support anyone else that you come in contact with that may have had that or similar experience. But that only becomes the case when you have evolved from it for your part. And that potential is always there. That potential is always there. You are so powerful. You're not even your body, you're not even your mind. You exist in it for a brief period of time, so that should let you know right there that it was never meant for any individual piece, parcel, perfection of source to be stuck in an experience, stuck carrying an experience. These are the things that we want you to know and understand and support the development of in the Accelerator. The minute you understand that, that means, okay, this was a trauma, this was a traumatic event. What's in it for me so that I can move forward? What's in it for me so that I can release this experience, stop that it ceases to repeat as an experience in my life, and I can turn my attention to a higher intention based on this experience and begin to create that. And when you're able to do that with the traumas that you have experienced, the next thing that happens is any undesired experience that shows up, any idea, anything that triggers you to a low vibration, you build the muscle to be able to just make the shift immediately. Use it as contrast, make the shift to a higher intention and begin to focus on that and align yourself energetically with that intention. You begin to build the muscle to be able to do that more and more quickly, which in turn equals you being in alignment with the high things of experience more and more often and more consistently, because you no longer linger in low vibrational states as a result of happenings that you are triggered to. You use them with consistency and quickness. You use them to establish an idea, an intention, a new idea, a new intention that you can place your attention on and move in that direction. Wow, this person said something to me today and it didn't feel good. So what do I intend? And focus on that. Let it go. There's no reason for me to linger with it. There's no reason for me to think about it over and over again and remember it, reconnect it, re-put it together in my head. Wow, they shouldn't have said that. It really frustrates me. It really angers me. Next time I'm going to do this. If anybody ever says anything like that, no, you don't do any of that. You use it as contrast. You set a high intention as a result of it, and then you focus on that. You don't focus on that anymore. If you do anything, you ask yourself, okay, what connected me to that experience? I did set my intention. Now I see the idea that connected me to that experience. What's the highest and best way to release it? And then whatever your inner being shows you on the screen of your mind, you do that, and then you focus on your intention. And you know that you are different. You know that that idea has been released and you're no longer connected to that type of experience. You focus on your intention and you continue to move forward. And now you're moving quickly. No longer lingering in low vibrational experience. No longer a home for the remembering of low vibrational happenings, ideas, thoughts. And when we say, and when we're talking about making the shift quickly and setting an intention, we're not just talking about experience. We're talking about if a thought form comes in to your mind and you are moved to low vibration because of that thought form, you make the shift. That's what we're talking about. Excellent, excellent. Thank you. I love the idea of looking at how I can be empowered as a result of the situation. That's always been the case. It's always been the case. Conditioning has taught everyone to linger. Conditioning has taught everyone to push and fight against undesired experience, not realizing that that ties you to it. that strengthens the idea inside of the individual. And the greater the emotion, the greater the energy tied to the idea. We spoke about this earlier this week or last week. The more emotion tied to an idea, the greater the amplitude of the wavelength, which means the more frequent you come in contact with experience. The more you hate an experience, the greater the frustration. You feel that? You feel that? You feel that? That emotion, that energy? It's low vibration, but it's fast. The faster the energy, the greater the frequency of experience once the necessary momentum has been established. Once that critical mass of momentum has been established, the greater the frequency, the more emotion, the faster, the more powerful the emotion, the more frequently you have the experience. The weaker the emotion, the lesser the emotion, the wavelength is longer, and the less frequent the experience. But the frequency, the experience is still has a level of frequency. Maybe it's every other month you come in contact with that undesired experience. But don't make the mistake of thinking we're just talking about undesired experience. This is also, because the process is the same, this is also how you create desired experience. But most are uncomfortable with exploding the high energy and emotion in connection to a certain idea. When you free yourself of being uncomfortable of just generating excitement for excitement's sake because you can, and connecting it to an idea. When you release yourself to do that, you begin to consciously establish ideas and tag them with high emotion, high, fast emotion, fast-moving energies that quickly establish an ideas. We know we mentioned this. Traumas can happen and sow a new idea in an instant. One happening can establish an idea as dominant that can last a lifetime. Which means you can do the same thing in the direction of things that you want. But the emotion and the energy that you tie to the idea has to be fast enough and strong enough. It's about the process. It's not about the thing. It's about understanding the process that you have always been engaged in, and using that exact process in the exact most correct way to establish those ideas that you intend to have, intend to create, intend to express, intend to experience. So as funny as this is, the topic, we've kind of been playing in and around the topic. Let's talk about it. This topic is, be careful the ideas you believe in. Ideas are not big or small. As a creator, you make it so. Oh, well, we guess we've kind of been talking about that. We'll repeat it. Be careful the ideas you believe in. Ideas are not big or small. As a creator, you make it so. We have been talking about ideas. We've been talking about your ability to release ideas, your ability to establish ideas. And with this segment, you want to be careful of what you're believing in. You want to be careful that in this process, as a powerful conscious creator, one who's aspiring to be a powerful conscious creator, that you're not tagging this process as being complicated. If you as an individual are believing, wow, this stuff seems like a lot, it seems like it's really complicated, then you are creating its complication. Whether it feels that way or not, you have to begin to sow and believe that this stuff is simple. That you can make transformation with and in yourself quickly. And allow those type ideas to be operating at your foundation. I do this quickly. I release, like, I become aware of conflict to my intentions very, very quickly. I release old patterns, old condition that's no longer serving me very, very quickly. I establish new ideas within my mental framework that are more in alignment and keep me in closer alignment to my intentions very, very quickly. Whether you're seeing the evidence or not, you can believe those ideas. The question is, are those ideas more in alignment with who and what you intend to be? If they are, and you know that ideas are what stand between you and the expressing and experiencing of the truth of you in source, then you have the power and the capacity to establish any ideas that you know are empowering to you, whether you see the evidence of them yet or not. Extreme confidence is an idea. If you know you're not behaving and being in a confident fashion and that would be of benefit in areas of your life, claim it. Sow it as an idea. If you don't see yourself as beautiful or as excellent, but you know that state of being, those ideas would be of benefit to you, because once you begin to believe that idea and resonate those frequencies go before you and lace your next present moment. Claim them and establish them as dominant ideas. If you are presently not in the position of the experience of an abundance of resources, an abundance of finances, and you know that the ideas of the presence and the experience of one who is royalty, majesty, would be of benefit to you, claim it. It's just an idea. But the idea, as with all of the ideas we have described, and all of the ideas present within your being right now, cause you to resonate a frequency that is directly aligned with that idea. So would it be of benefit for you to be resonating those type frequencies or not? Confidence, check. Excellent, perfect, at this moment, no matter what I said a minute ago, check. Beautiful, physically and at the soul level, check. Powerful as an individual, in my perceiving, in my interpreting, in my thinking, in my feeling, in my expressing, check. If ideas are not big or small, and as a creator you make it so, then why not take a moment, take this weekend, and make a list of all of the ideas that you know would be of benefit to you moving forward, and begin claiming them as your own. In whatever way is most powerful and the quickest to you. And you ask your inner being these questions. What's the most powerful way? What's the most effective and efficient way for me to sow these ideas after you make the list, right? You look at your relationships and you see what ideas would empower you the most in relationship. What ideas would empower you the most in your business or in your career? What ideas would empower you the most as a parent or as a partner? What ideas would empower you the most when it comes to your experience of abundance? What ideas would empower you the most when it comes to your health and well-being? Make a list. Ask yourself, What's the most effective and efficient way to sow these ideas and make them dominant expressions, and then do that. And then continue to do it. Because, repetition's at play. The ideas sown within you, the events happen more than once that establish these ideas, going all the way back to childhood. And then you've had experiences that reinforce those ideas, and then a loop was created. A loop of experience, expression, experience, expression, further sowing and tagging emotion to the ideas. This is happening all the time, whether you're conscious of it or not. So when you establish a new idea, you want to continue to sow that idea, and when you go in to sow that idea, you're entertaining it in your mind, you're thinking about it, you're seeing the experiences. We suggest you play with seeing the experience that would be a result of that idea in whatever area you're playing with. Feel the feeling of the experience, feel the frequency of that idea, and begin to establish a new loop. And then when you start to have the experience, celebrate that you know that this is the result of the idea that I'm sowing, and continue to establish the loop. And you move from it being something that you're doing to who you are. And when it becomes who you are, the loop is established, and you no longer have to consciously play with establishing the loop. Right? Your life is littered with loops that have been created, and you didn't consciously participate in it, but you did participate in the creation of the loop. And the loops are established now that you're feeling, you're thinking, feeling, expressing based on the dominant ideas. You're expressing that out. You're having the experience because the expression comes first. You're having the experience, and the experience as a reaction is causing you to think and feel along the lines of that idea, and the loop is there. So in order to establish new loops, you have to be the catalyst. The idea, the feeling, seeing the experience in your mind's eye, and continuing to do that, and building the emotion around it, the excitement, the joy, because we're talking about high vibrational ideas that you're sowing now. Establishing the emotion around those ideas until you begin to see maybe not the full-blown experience, but you can start to see sprinkles of evidence of the experience on approach. Celebrate that, continue to sow the idea, and know, because of the foundation, you know that you're engaged in the process and you're building the loop of expression, experience. Expression, experience, expression, experience. That's the loop. That's the loop. And again, there are many loops that you have going on in all areas of life. What's the process? Engage the process to recreate yourself. Sounds simple. The challenge is the mass of data that is flowing in through your senses that are still going to continue as you're trying to establish new loops that are reinforcing the old loops. That's the challenge. That's the challenge. That's why it's important to explode the emotion as best you can. Even in your exploding of the emotion, it may still take a moment before the new idea gets stronger than the old patterns that you're contrasting. But it's still the process. The process is still the same. Even if it's days, weeks, and you're still sowing a new idea, you're firmly rooted in the process and understanding the process. This is the process. The ideas that are within me now, this is how they were established. So if I do this, I will establish this new idea eventually. Now, if you couple that with releasing old patterns simultaneously, then you will move about the process faster. But it's possible to just do one side of it. And this idea will eventually be stronger than the old. And because you're giving this idea so much of your attention and you're not giving this idea any more of your attention, it starts to die away. But that's a slow process. That's a slow process. You can ask your inner being what's the best way to release an idea and then do that, while at the same time you're sowing the new one. But ideas are neither big or small. Ideas, if you claim them to be big or small, you will. They will be. And the big ones will be difficult to accomplish because big as an idea is synonymous with complicated and hard to do and all of those things. And small is synonymous with easy. Most things that are small that you perceive to be small are also insignificant, right? The big ideas are very, very important. I really, really need to find a job. I really, really want to be a good parent. I really, really would like to experience more resources, more money. They're big, they're important. They're a lot of times tied to your survival or tied to whether you're feeling loved or not. And because of the bigness also meaning you're actually expressing that you don't have it, right? And so if you don't change that, make those subtle shifts, then you're always pushing against, and you're actually more focused on what you don't want than what you do want, and that's what you're creating, what you don't want, the absence of a thing. Process is simple. The play and practice, not so much. Can be challenging. And that's where the sessions, if you're inspired to them, come into play. And even more so, that's where the private community comes into play, because we strive, not just us, but also the members in the group, strive in unison to create a new flood of material, a flood of understanding, a flood of potentials, of seeing the successes and hearing the missteps also of others and learning from those. That information coming in through the consistent contact is what begins to counter the inflow of material or data from the outside world. It's like being in an incubator, right? Not shielding you from the outside world, but establishing new material, new information, giving you that to focus on. Can it be done on your own? Absolutely. Process is the same. Process is simple, actually. It's always been the same process. But it's the data, the information, the conditioning, the old patterns that exist now within you that you're contending with. But this is powerful stuff. This is excellent stuff. And you are beautiful and perfect because you are source. You are infinite. You are eternal. And when you view yourself from that place, you're immediately in a higher frequency. And the more you play with that, you can begin to see the low vibrational patterns that are operating inside of the mind and body, because you're viewing these things from a separate position. And you can do all of this in your meditation. You can be in this position with your mind and body in front of you, and then play to perceive the low vibrational patterns in relationship to relationship from that higher perspective. And then begin to weed them out. That's not serving me. That's always brought me in contact with the wrong type of person. This idea is always creating that same argument that we always have. And you continue to pull the weeds, remove the clouds, dust the furniture off, sweep the floors in your castle, allowing more and more light to flow through. Does anyone have any ideas that they were inspired to, any questions or anything. If you do, place those in the chat and we'll take a few moments to address those. Let's see. It's all about practicing and choosing to be in a higher frequency before engaging in any situation. It will become easier to effortlessly be in the desired state. Yeah, you're building the muscle. You have to remember that even when you falter, even when you're moved to low vibration and you're triggered to low vibration in an experience, or an old experience presents itself and you find yourself in that feeling and it's been an hour, 2 days, don't worry about it. Just get yourself back on track, because every time you get yourself back on track, you're building the muscle. The mere fact that you're aware that you are not centered, that you have been triggered to low vibration, is expanding your awareness. Because when you do catch yourself, and it's been a couple of days, the more you play and practice and intend to catch yourself, the faster you will begin to catch yourself. You see how you're establishing a new idea right there? Right there, you're establishing a new idea. Okay, it's been too long. It's been a couple of days, and I'm still playing with this low vibrational idea. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to start catching myself a lot faster. Right there, you establish an idea with intention to be quicker at becoming aware when you are moved off center. And when in so doing, you become that. You become one who is more inward focused. One who begins to catch themselves more quickly, to establish themselves back in higher frequency, to get themselves back to center. Number line, you got the positive, you got the center, you got zero, and you got negatives, right? You get moved to the negative, you want to get back to zero as quick as you can. And with that subtle intention, but if you're in frustration and you say it with force to yourself, where you establish that idea with high energy. All energies are creative, right? Not just love and all of that stuff. No, hate is creative also. So even if you're frustrated when you catch yourself and you're like, I've been here too long, crap. That high energy sown with that idea establishes that idea firmly. And from that moment forward, you'll be a little bit quicker to catch yourself and bring yourself back to zero. And you continue to build the muscle. And you don't get frustrated when you get moved off center. You celebrate the fact that you were aware and you were able to get yourself back to center. That's the key also. Celebrate more. Instead of allowing the conditioning to say you should be frustrated or upset with yourself. Celebrate where you are. Celebrate your wins. Celebrate your ability to choose. Celebrate that you're a little bit more aware today. Celebrate and see yourself as a little more awesome, a little more perfect today. No matter what happened, no matter what you did, no matter what you said, you're still perfect. And you're about to play and practice of cleaning the stuff out that you feel separates you from that perfection. Celebrate yourself a little bit more. Honor yourself a little bit more. See yourself as holy. See yourself as sacred a little bit more. And then think about how that makes you feel. And then think about the fact that how I'm feeling when I see and recognize myself as sacred has always been there. I didn't just put it there because I'm sitting here by myself in my meditation. I didn't put that feeling there. It's always been there. I've never recognized it. I've never seen it. And I definitely have never thought to cultivate it and make it something that is a dominant expression. But it's you. And it has always been there. And that frequency aligns you with experience that is synonymous with that frequency. Wow, and think about what that looks like. Thank you for the comment. Anyone else? Let's see. I understand the importance of exploding high vibration ideas and emotions. In this 3D realm, we encounter low vibrations, darkness, data. Should we block, try to avoid low vibration people? No, no. Don't try to block anything. Don't try to avoid anything, because that's just like saying that you're setting up barriers. And when you set up a barrier, or you decide in your mind's eye to block something or move away from something, that means your attention is on that thing, so that you're trying not to come in contact with it. And if you do that, what's your focus on? Your focus is on the thing that you don't want. Right? You use inner experience, thoughts, ideas, and external experience as contrast to establish new high vibrational intentions and to become aware of low vibrational ideas that you're carrying. That's what you use it for. You use that data, that information, those people, all of those things to become aware of the ideas you are carrying. That's what they're for. And when you go about the play and practice of releasing those ideas and recreating and establishing yourself anew by establishing a new intention and sowing ideas that more closely align you with that intention, you separate yourself from those experiences. That's the play. The play is not to move away from anything, because you have to focus on the thing to make sure you're moving away from it and not come in contact with it. The play is to use every single, and some of you are not strong enough to do this, but the play is to use every single happening in your experience as information that points you to the ideas that you're carrying. Is this idea supporting me or not supporting me? If it's not, don't just stop right then, because you might not be able to, but write it down. Keep a notepad. Make a list of even the smallest of most subtle movements that you feel triggered into a low vibration. It's most likely connected to a bigger root. Write it down. And then in your time when you are going to play and practice with releasing, you go to your list and you begin to cross them off. Releasing this, what does that look like? Releasing this, what does that look like? And it doesn't matter what it looks like. If your inner being says to throw it down a deep hole, do that. If it shows you to throw it way out in the ocean where you can't see it or hear it, do that. If you shoot it off in space, do that. Whatever the image is for you that your inner being shows you, do that. And then expect that it's done. And then ask yourself, okay, what ideas are more empowering in the direction that I'm going and that support me in moving in the direction that I'm going? And then you sow those ideas, right? So you're recreating yourself, but you're not moving away from anything. You're using every single thing that you shows up externally and that you feel internally. You may be sitting watching a movie. We use these scenarios, and Benny screenshot or used his phone and recorded snippets from shows and movies that he has watched recently that moved him in low vibrational ways, and he saw the idea. So he put those clips together and he put them in the Accelerator for people to see, and he communicated how it moved him and what he did with it, and for people to see. You can be sitting at home or sitting in a movie theater watching a television show or watching a movie and be aware when it moves you into a low vibrational state. You're sitting still, but the movie, the show, causes you to feel frustration. It causes you to feel hurt, and it reminds you that you didn't feel loved by your parents, or you were made to feel like a victim or helpless. The movie is making you feel this way. As you sit there still, you write it down, because that gave you evidence of an idea inside of you that is resonating unconsciously below your conscious awareness, creating experience with a level of frequency. So you write it down, every single thing, and you play to release it and recreate yourself. This idea was present. What's the contrasting idea? What's the opposite idea that's more empowering and is moving me more toward what I would like to experience? And you sow that. We hope that makes sense. Anyone else? Excellent. Excellent. Well, again, thank you for each of you who have supported us in the creation of this interaction. We're thankful for each of you that have found this recorded and allowed us to be of support in that manner. Those of you who have participated, those of you who have played with us in the chat, anything, any idea that you feel that you have been inspired to or taken away from that you wouldn't mind sharing, put those in the comments. Not in the chat, but in the comments of the video, that those who come later, after, might benefit from your expanded awareness. Do it if you're inspired. Don't do it if just because we asked. Do it if you're inspired. Let's see. Said thanks us a lot. Yeah. It can be. Again, but the process is the same. But these are the bits and pieces that come through interaction. And that's the power of your questions based on your life experience right now at this moment. Right? That which you asked, the answers to that which you asked are powerful. And the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding that you have garnered through asking the question helps you move forward. You have expanded a little bit more. Even with that you are wrestling with, if we offered information that you are wrestling with and you feel that you're open to it entering into your being, but the transition it feels staticky, that's perfect. That's perfect. Your conscious awareness, your ideas are wrestling with the allowing in of the information, and that's perfect. That's what growth is. That's what expansion is. Tomorrow, the information or that which is most important to you about this interaction will have integrated in your being a little bit more and a little bit more. Now, will you absorb everything? No. But that which is most important at the moment, that which you are most fertile ground for at the moment, will have integrated into your being, and you will have become just a little bit more. And then the next time, you will have different questions that may not seem related at all, but they will be, because the whole of you is expanding. The whole of you is expanding. Which is why next time your question may be about money. Next time your question may be about my purpose. The next time your question may be about, I'm really, really hurt because my grandmother passed away. Made her transition. But it's all connected, and you're expanding a little bit more and a little bit more. That's why it's so important to be free to ask your questions when you have the opportunity. And we thank you for that. Don't be afraid of the wrestle. Don't be afraid of the conflict or the confusion around the information that you have received. Just allow the dust to settle and continue to move forward. Allow the dust to settle and continue to move forward. Let's see. So you write down the experience and then deal with it after meditation, during meditation. You're writing down, we're suggesting that you write down any and all ideas that you feel need to be addressed just as you go about daily life. Try to grab them and write them down. And then in meditation, that's when you work with them playfully. playfully, right? Get into a high frequency state, get into love, get into joy, get into excitement, get into exhilaration, get into the feeling of your favorite song, get into the feeling of your favorite vacation spot, get into the feeling of the purity of a color, your favorite color, or the rainbow. In meditation, you do that first, and then ask those questions of your inner being. Bring that idea forward that I got triggered to. What's the information? What's the wisdom here for me that will help, that will expand me moving forward, that I can grow from and be empowered from? And once you glean that information from it, okay, now, what's the best way, highest and best for me at this moment to release this idea? That's what you do during your meditation. Excellent. All right. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone. We love you very, very, very much. And at this moment on the schedule, we will be back Monday. Have a fantastic weekend, an excellent weekend, an intentional weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.